So, time for one of my toughest challenges yet. Here are 19 reasons to watch Golden Years. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. And in this video, we are back on the movies, miniseries, adaptations of Stephen King's work, and we're covering the obvious classic that is 1991's Golden Years. And I will give you my 19 reasons to watch that in just a few moments. But before that, a couple of quick plugs for you. So when it comes to plugging, everything you need is in the description. Links to my email newsletter, to my Stephen King quiz book that I published in 2022, to some of my fiction that I've published, and to the Constant Writers podcast. Oh, and my Letterboxd profile as well, if you want to come and say hi over there and swap movie reviews. Like I say, links are in the description. Check them out. Any support would be much appreciated. Okay, so on to this video. And as you know from the title, we're covering the quite weird miniseries from 1991, Golden Years. It's very much a lesser known King property, and it's a bit of a difficult one to track down. Oh, I say difficult, I mean, you might just be able to find it on YouTube. It's not available on streaming or to buy or rent at the time of recording, as far as I can tell. That's kind of what I'm saying. That's the official line. The unofficial line is get creative and you will be able to find it. I don't think I need to say any more. Oh, I do need to say something more. As always with these, any reasons that might spoil a first-time watch will be clustered behind a spoiler alert, so you can bail if you need to bail, but still watch some of this video at least. So come along with me from the start. I'll let you know when we get into the spoiler a bit, so you can drop out at that point if you need to. But otherwise, let's see if we can do it, shall we? Here's my attempt to give you 19 reasons to watch Golden Years. You know where. So my headline reason for you to watch this. It is a fascinating example of the television bigwigs trying to use Stephen King to cash in on the success of Twin Peaks, which had aired the year before. And King readily admits was basically the reason that this project was able to get greenlit, because Twin Peaks, in all its weirdness, being such a big hit, just opened a few more eyes to different ideas. So Golden Years is part novel written for TV, part attempt to set up some weird, quirky, culty TV series. Fails miserably at both of them, but it's interesting to see what they were trying nonetheless. And I use interesting in a very loose way there, of course.
Now you've done it, Ollie. Shut up.
So there's no denying that this is not very good. Overly long scenes full of bad dialogue and at times even worse acting.
Shut up, Redding. You're an intern. That means you keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. Understand?
And all strung together with lots of random blues guitar licks that just make this a real slog over the 4 hours that eventually made it onto VHS and that I watched. I mean, thankfully the original was 5.5 hours, so I didn't have to suffer through all of that. But even saying all of that, there is a little bit of charm to it. If for nothing else, just hanging around to see what the next terrible line will be.
Better yet, I could cook something for you. And then after we eat, we could have sex.
Oh, and if you like explosions, Golden Years has quite a few explosions. Yes, I just did a blues lick as a reason. Deal with it. So what's the hook? Well, our main character, Harlan Williams, is a 70-year-old janitor at this weird government agency laboratory type thing. And he's doing his day job, just found out he's failed an eye test, so they're going to try and kick him out. And a crazy scientist is doing a crazy experiment and it goes wrong, explosively wrong. And Harlan takes a hit from the explosion, a hit of this green stuff. Now, thankfully, Harlan survives, but the green stuff has a weird effect on him. It de-ages him. It makes him younger. And, well, understandably, the government are quite interested in Harlan and trying to track him down. So they send an agent from the shop, which we all know from Firestarter, of course, to do exactly that. And anyone who gets in this agent's way, well, they're going to die. Now, admittedly, that hook is good, it's strong, so it's somewhat ironic and perhaps even wonderful writing and television production that by the end of watching a series where you're watching a man de-age and get younger, you yourself will feel about 10 years older by the time you're done.
Now you've done it, Ollie. Shut up.
Now, most of the cast in this are actually pretty good, and you can see them trying to do their best with what they've been given. So Keith Sarabajka, Keith Sarabajka as Harlan and Frances Sternhagen as his on-screen wife Gina are a great lead couple. You really get behind them, you want them to escape, you want them to survive, and they are very sweet together. And then we have Ed Lauder and Felicity Huffman as General Cruz and Terry Spann, who are helping to try and keep the Williamses safe, and they're pretty good too. However, the real stars of this are two excellent character actors. So we have the wonderful Stephen Root as Major Morland, who is just brilliant, brings the screen to life whenever he's on it.
Gentlemen, without rules, what have you got? Huh? You got chaos. You have got the jungle. Now.
And potentially my favourite, we have R.D. Call as the shop agent Jude Andrews.
Hey, Jude.
Like I say, both of them, when they're on screen, you're in for a good time. Or at least as much of a good time that you get in Golden Years.
Now you've done it, Ollie. Shut up.
Now, one reason that is definitely worth at least checking out the first half an hour or so of this is the quite ridiculous name of the mad scientist whose experiment sets all of this off. So he is called Dr. Todd Hunter. And I don't mean Dr. Todd Hunter. His name is Dr. Todd Hunter, as in Dr. Richard X. Todd Hunter. Why? Why would... What a stupid name. Just call him Dr. Hunter. Just call him Dr. Todd. You created his full name and then added more. It's just stupid. I've just remembered. Another highlight of the cast, of course, is a cameo from Stephen King as a grumpy bus driver.
Is anybody getting on here? Because I got a schedule to keep.
Hold your horses, Mac.
You love to see it.
Boy, I hate these side of the roaders. They're not like this on the Indiana side, let me tell you.
Drive the bus and put your mouth in neutral. How does that sound? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, you can't talk to me like that.
So lastly, before spoilers, I'll admit, it is genuinely difficult for me to recommend you watching this entire thing with any shred of sincerity.
Now you've done it, Ollie. Shut up.
If you're a completist like me, you will obviously probably have already watched it, or you will be willing to sit down and suffer for your love of all things King. And it does offer something of a curio within his body of work that has made it onto any size of screen. But there's no denying it's also shite. Okay, so after this point, I'm going to be talking about things that might ruin a first-time watch of this. So let's call this the spoiler alert. If you're looking for a reason to drop out and keep everything else as a surprise for you, then this is where you need to go. But do come back soon. Otherwise, stick around because I've got, I think anyway, a few more reasons for you to watch Golden Years coming right up. Right, so the ending is weird. It's clearly done to sort of try and set up what would have been a longer series. We have Harlan and Gina just disappearing into thin air. And actually, the original ending was much more of a cliffhanger, and CBS recut it when they put it out on VHS and decided they weren't going to be continuing with the Golden Years project to try and give it a more hopeful ending. But even so, it's weird and feels disjointed and feels like it's setting up something that was never going to exist. So yeah, just be warned, when you get to hour 4 and you sit there and go, oh, it's over. Yeah, that's it. So as it happens, King actually requested 4 more hours of airtime to finish telling the story. Thankfully, CBS said, hell no. That being said, there were quite a few moments that made me actually laugh out loud just because of how just terrible and bad they were. Not necessarily poorly acted, well, maybe poorly acted, but definitely poorly written and poorly directed. Like, there's one scene where Ed Lauder is trying to convince Felicity Huffman's character to come back to his place and have some fun time. And he's talking about the food that they'll order. And he suggests ordering pizza and Chinese takeout.
We could get a pizza or maybe take out Chinese, and I could teach you how to use those little sticks.
Like, together. Like, I mean, just pick one, dude. And then there's also my favourite line, which is where Harlan speaks some truth that resonated with my soul and talks about how when it gets to spring, he just wants to die because it's an awful time of year. Yes, right on, I am with you, Harlan. Terrible time of year, followed by an even worse time of year, summer. But hey, that's just me.
I think I want to die in the spring.
As for my favourite scene, I mean, it's gotta be the sexy shower scene that just takes it for pure comedy gold.
Now I'm supposed to be doing your back.
Okay, I like to cover where things have links to other King works. There's quite a few here, so let's strap in, shall we? Obviously, it was written by Stephen King, and it features Stephen King cameoing as that bus driver, as we already mentioned. So Frances Sternhagen, if you're a regular on this channel, you'll know she was in Misery, and she also went on to narrate the Dolores Claiborne audiobook. Ed Lauder was in the adaptation of Cujo, which I've also covered already on this channel, of course. As I mentioned, the shop features in Firestarter, and then there are a couple of character names that are nods to some of King's written work. So there is an Ackerman mentioned in Golden Years, which would later be used in the short story N. So that all takes place in Ackerman's field. And then a quite obvious one, but there's one of the hippie characters at that commune they end up at. Yes, it all goes very strange, but there's a character there called Captain Trips, which of course is a nod to The Stand. And I think that is everything, but I will admit my attention did wander quite a few times during this, so if I missed any of those little Easter eggs and little references, let me know in the comments, won't you? Lastly, there's no denying this is bad, and there are, let's say, millions of things out there more worthy of your time and your eyes to sit and watch, even Graveyard Shift. So I guess the point I'm making here is, you know, if you're going to skip this one, don't feel bad, because you're really, really not going to miss anything.
I guess you're right. I'm still working here, and you are still a jerk.
Okay, enough bad blues guitar and enough talking about Golden Years. We are done. There's my 19 reasons for you to watch Golden Years. If you've watched Golden Years, let me know what you think in the comments. Am I being overly harsh, or is it truly shit? Like I say, let me know. Other things you can do, check out the description and see links for things that I'm also busy working on. So my fiction, my quiz book, my newsletter, the Constant Writers podcast, my Letterboxd profile. You can find all of those things in there. Do come and say hi and get involved if you want to. And when I'm talking about coming and say hi, I'm over on Instagram at Dave Musson. Come and tell me over there what you think of Golden Years, maybe. Let's swap notes on which lines were particularly bad. I'm in danger of rambling now, so let's wrap this up. Do come back soon, because the next movie we're talking about, something of a controversial one.